The focus of today is, like we've already shared the topic, but the focus of today is the conversation around the new tax act, and is real estate still a good idea? You know, and one of the biggest questions that you know people have been a lot of people have been panicking. Like, oh my goodness, am I going to be giving the government 15%? Should I open an LLC? A lot of these questions come up, and we're obviously not tax consultants, so we will not give you advice on the tax consultant. But Doctor, who is our esteemed guest, he is running a Doctor. You're literally running like a national tour on taxation. So you're doing like in 4 cities at this point in time.
Yes, I am.
And when I saw that, it's amazing, because obviously, people have different questions around their city, around, how they're going to manage wealth. And real estate is, I typically would consider real estate as a very local, asset class, and taxation is very important, So there's no other person, we could bring to have this conversation than Doctor. And obviously would explain, we'll give a detail of who Doctor is in a short while. But tonight, we're going to focus on what the new tax law really means for you, right? Where are the real opportunities, and how do you protect your income legally and smartly, right? We're going to obviously leave room for you to ask questions, and I will keep on reiterating the time that Doctor is literally going around the country to talk about this. There is an opportunity for you to part of that secured the discount fee for bringing here. So you would have the opportunity to walk in at that in the events. I think some places are like, I know that Lagos is part of it. Is Port Harcourt part of it, Doctor? Just checking.
Yes, Port Harcourt is part of it too.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So we're going to bring that and bring that down. Now, what's the overview of this system? The that is one of the most significant tax reforms we've had in over 2 decades. Is very bold, but it tends to simplify a lot of things and sort of consolidate things that we typically take for granted in the country. And previously, property taxation in Nigeria, was scattered across multiple laws. This new act is sort of trying to figure out a way to make sure that we have a single system that we can trust and we can rely on and we can sort of understand without, pardon my French, mago up and down. For real estate, this new framework clarifies how rental income and property sales, family transfers are taxed. Now, a lot of these things would require, I keep saying that people that will make money next year, they're accountants, they're legal people, they're people like Doc that would make a lot of money next year.
Really? I didn't know.
So when things like this happen, if you're an accountant, God bless you. Congratulations. Next year is going to be one of your biggest year. But these are periods where you sort of seize the opportunity that is presented to you, and hopefully, dig deeper into figuring out and solving, core problems for people. Like I mentioned, Keble is primarily a real estate investment company. We do investments across different regions, so taxation is really important. I was talking to one of the biggest selling points when we were talking to people in Dubai is that, oh, Dubai, no tax. I think when you're buying property, you just pay one purchase land tax, 4%, and that's it. They'll tell you that you don't have to pay any tax again. It's different when you go to the UK. They have different tiers in which you're dealing with taxation. So different countries have, different ways of how they deal with tax, and it's really important that you sort of understand how that works. Man of the hour, right? So I've known Doc since I was a little baby, so yeah.
Oh my God.
So things that you will get to know about Doc is he is well versed in this industry. He's also a very, very humble person. So I'm going to to his horn right now and just shout to the blazes. But I think he's also one of the people that are pioneering, real estate consulting, prop tech technology, anything that has to do with advancing the real estate space to the future. Doc has essentially been at the forefront of that, and that Keble here is essentially trying to build something for everyone's future. So he has been of help in making that happen for the longest time, right? And like you said, like he's the founder and CEO of Paisan Housing Company. It's a market intelligence and advisory firm, and they primarily focus on real estate finance and development. Been around for over 25 years, working with governments, developers, international institutions. UK has worked with World Bank, family funds to design policy and expand that focus on expanding housing. And he is currently the president of PropTech Association of Nigeria. Dr. Roland is passionate about data-driven solutions, and he's focused on transparency in the market. He has a nonprofit where Roland Igbinoba Real Foundation for Housing and Urban Development, where he trains and mentors thousands of real estate professionals annually, including those looking to navigate the changing tax environment, which we'll be discussing today. And just to add a little flair, like I mentioned, he is one of those people that have truly digged deep into the real estate space, and he is someone that you truly have to listen to and get a sense of what's happening in the real estate space, how you can benefit, how you can structure things on your own end, and essentially build long-lasting wealth. So welcome, Doc. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Tired, but yeah, I'm happy to be here. Tax is a new thing that we all should find a way to learn. I've been doing a lot of research myself. Like you said, I'm wishing I quickly qualified as a chartered tax tax professional. Before now. It's interesting because we deal in an asset class that is very peculiar, So even with the gamut of tax reforms, we need to know exactly how this is impacting the sector, which is why I really love what you guys are doing. And it's also the reason why we're moving across 4 cities, just to have conversations around tax, just so that we can kind of be prepared. Because the thing with our asset class is that if you don't have people who understand that asset class, you can't just come and stamp tax on it. There are several, the people will be speaking from a tax perspective because that's what they know, that's what they understand. But you are the business, right? You know the vagaries and the issues with the transactions. So your ability to say, no, why can't we do this? We keep them thinking more and more of ways to then, do all of the tax issues, in a way that is legal and is not criminal,
Exactly.
and that's why it's important that we continue to have these conversations about, the NTA and how it affects real estate, So yeah, great job that you guys are doing this. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think that it's even with the new tax and the whole fear mongering that is going on, real estate, we're still so far behind from like a housing perspective that
Yes.
so we still
absolutely.
more houses in the space. We still need more investors coming in. We're underfunded. So I think that it's a good thing to have this discussion now, right? So that people, and it's a good thing that the tax law is also here as well, because it creates some level of clarity as we go forward, right?
Correct.
So thank you so much. Again, if you're a chartered accountant, I keep saying it, but start making money now. This is your time.
Oh yeah, absolutely, you're right.
So the first question I really have is focused on acquisition, right? So if someone is thinking of coming to the real estate space, what kind of taxation would they likely experience when they are thinking of buying properties? Is there any taxing that they should be worried about? What are the layers of taxation that they should know ahead of before getting into real estate?
Okay, great. So sorry, I was a bit distracted. So the question was around the fact that what kind of
taxes? Yeah, exactly. For people that are coming into the space buying property for the first time, what would be your advice for them at this point in time?
Okay. So really, right? I think there are a lot of so for people buying properties, right? I think that the new tax act, has provided for deductions, so whether you are buying or whether you are renting, okay, there are deductions that are capped, if you, for lack of a better word, some sort of a relief that you get, for your mortgages and for your rent. Okay, so if you are buying a house, so at that level that you are buying, right, don't forget you are still going to have all of the title transfer charges. Okay, the stamp duties, I think that is at 1.5% or 2%, the title transfer that is at 2%. So all of that, bouquet of taxes, that enables you have your property, have title to your property, you will pay, right? Now, where it's very interesting is to say that, just like you said at the opening of this conversation, to say that, look, there were so many taxes, double taxes everywhere. So what the government has done with this to try and to be as transparent as possible and to consolidate. So if you are buying, what should you be worried about? I think at the point where you are buying or renting, okay, so that we can deal with it too. I think the taxes, the regular taxes that you have to pay for having that title is there. But I also know that for mortgages, and what they have tried to do, they have tried to tier the taxes across income demographics. So all that fear of, if you earn 1 million naira, they are going to tax you 25% and all of that. No, it's not. There are some tax allowances and reliefs. So for example, for rent, for certain lower income groups, right, you have a cap relief of up to, I think, 500,000 naira. Yeah. Okay, so that's a relief. It means that out of your money, 500,000 won't be taxed. Anyway, people who earn less than 800,000 naira per annum are not even paying any form of tax. Okay, now it is when you want to sell, again, it is when you want to sell, which is what we call the capital gains tax. Yeah. Okay, so you bought a property at 1 million naira, so now you have sold at 1.5 million naira, and then what then happens is that you are supposed to now pay a tax. Before, it used to be 10% on that asset, but now it's been tripled to 30%. But this is also for properties that are capital gains that is coming, I think for from 50 million naira and above. So there are reliefs across, and that's why I'm saying that you must engage tax consultants, okay, when they start to say, okay, this is what's happening. That engagement needs to happen, but it's important that people know that, look, there are windows for reliefs in the tax law. So that's the kind of thing. So your most worry for me, if you ask me, is to say what's the price of property that you are buying, one, and then if you intend to sell, okay, how much of capital gains tax are you going to be paying, depending again on the price of the property. But this is also where we need to talk about the kind of transparency that is going to be happening within this tax regime and the tax reform. So remember, I said that, for example, for rent, right, you have relief of up to about 500,000 naira. But how do you benefit from that relief? It means that, I mean, I don't know how many people, when they rent housing, they actually take receipts. Maybe they take receipts for the first year. But the second year, I don't know how many people ask their landlords for the payment, right? So you just wire the money to the man. You don't want him to disturb you. But if you don't have the receipt of payment, you cannot enjoy that relief on rent. Okay, but you know what then happens? You have just brought the landlord into light. You have brought him out of darkness and brought him into light. Because what has happened now, the state or the government knows the landlord. To say, oh, Baba Mukaila, okay, so you are here. So you have been collecting rental income without any sort of. So it's very interesting. But the more it becomes transparent, you know, what then happens is that when you model your transaction, okay, and you are modeling your yield, what it means now is that you need to factor in all of these different tax moments. So you know that whether a transaction is viable or not, unlike before, where you would just think that you can run away with it, you know.
I think it's very spot on. Like you sort of drew a line, a dotted line in connecting just your rent to, even as the landlord, trying to make sure that he's also accountable as well. So each person is sort of connected just because of the taxation that is happening.
Correct. But the good thing again is that, you know, unlike before where they also charge VAT on rent and properties and all of that, that's no more. Okay, so there's no VAT anymore. But the good thing is for the landlord is that wherever he has paid, or the developer, wherever he has made payments for VAT, he can also do an impute claim to say that I paid VAT on the cement that I bought, or on the iron rods, or the services that I contracted with Keble when they were managing the property for me, or when they get right. So he can now then again claim all of that VAT as relief for him. So like you rightly pointed out, so it's a circle of where everybody is watching out for everybody right now. So if you charge me VAT, just know that, look, it's not, yes, it's okay, you know, but I'm going to then ask for that relief. So, and at the back end, what the government is also trying to do is that they've also set up this to be electronically done, so that at the back end, we're seeing all of the transactions that happen for real estate, you know.
In terms of like how you're thinking about investors, right?
Yes.
Investors that are thinking long term. Are there things that they should? You mentioned capital gains. Are there things that they should sort of understand a bit more about capital gains? How it works? How long do? In terms of, I know that most people sell property, they don't sell it immediately. They don't, in Nigeria, we don't flip properties as much. So it for a very long time for that to happen. But like, just talk to people that are thinking around the buying and holding for a very long time, and what tax, you know, is there a tax incentive for that? You know, how long, what kind of taxation should they have in mind when they are thinking of selling?
Sorry, okay, I'm seeing messages saying that, is it me that you want to log in and log out, or I don't know, this people say they can't hear me.
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me, right? Adebisi was saying log in and log out, so I don't know if that was me.
No, for it's for the person that couldn't hear, for Samuel.
Okay.
Log in and log out.
Okay, great. Okay, so I think, like I've said before, right, for capital gains tax, and this is where it's important for a platform like yours to also begin to think about. Okay, so even though we are working, we're in the digital space, can we begin to think around real estate investment companies or real estate investment trusts? Because the truth is, with RIC and REIT, okay, all that capital gains tax, you know, diminishes, because there are conditions, because as you know, real estate investment companies and real estate investment trusts, they are pass-through entities, meaning, you know, they don't, as far as you distribute a minimum of 75% of the annual dividend, okay, it means that you can have the benefit of all of that tax.
Yes.
But if you just bought a property and you want to sell, again, depending on the value, I think it's 50 million, we will have to check that, you know, but there's definitely capital gains tax. But also remember, right, when you now talk about capital gains tax, it also depends on, okay, so how much, where did your income, because capital gains tax is just one of them, okay? So if you made money outside the country, you know, and you brought it in to do investment, right? It's not automatically that you will be taxed, okay? Is there a double treaty Okay, is there, does Nigeria and Dubai, or Nigeria and the UK, is there some double treaty such that I paid my tax in the UK or in Canada or in America that I don't have to now pay in Nigeria? So those are some of the things that the tax professionals will help us with, to say, where do we have treaties, tax treaties, such that, it doesn't mean that because I've just brought money into the country, you want to immediately tax me. And in any way, there is also you proving residency. So for example, if I come for 30 December and I bring all the money to come and spend, and I'm living in 2 months, and I'm living anywhere below 6 months, I can say that, look, I don't live in Nigeria. Okay, I just brought my money to come and spend. I've been taxed in Canada, or I've been taxed in the US before. So these are some of the things where you are looking at, okay, where is the tax moment? So for capital gains tax, really is the portion of income that you have earned that is being taxed. And like I said, I think it's around 50 million naira, between 50 million naira or 200 million naira, from where the exemption starts from. Okay, so again, the type of property that you are doing, that you are investing in, also matter, but it's now 30% from and 10%, and that's why I'm saying that this is where RIC and REITs come into play, because you don't pay any of those. What you then pay as a company like Keble, for example, you don't pay that capital gains tax. When you distribute to your investors who have invested, they don't even pay. I think they even just pay withholding tax, which again, okay, is only withholding tax. They can come back to it to net off whatever tax liabilities that they have, because they are going to say, look, I did this investment with Keble, but instead of paying me 100,000 naira, they paid me 90 naira. They've kept 10% as withholding tax. You take that certificate. So when the regulatory authority are charging you 20 naira, you say, wait a minute, I'm not paying 20 naira. This is my withholding tax from a transaction that I did with Keble. So you net it off. So it's really, at the end of the day, the effective tax rate, really, it's reduced. It's only when you have foreign entities who come into the country, and it's just to discourage portfolio investment. Because again, you just come and do transaction at the stock market, make a lot of money, and you are running up. There's really no development in the country. It's different from when you are putting investments in the country, entirely different than just, investing in doing portfolio investment. Yeah. So that's what I would say about the capital gains tax.
I think it's just an interesting concept, because you mentioned something around, we have a lot of diaspora customers come in, buy, or come in even during December, spend money, but they spend most of their time maybe in Canada or in the US, right? And we need to sort of dig deep into how those treaties work, and essentially make sure that we don't have a situation of double taxation happening, where I'm being taxed obviously in the US, because US they don't pay their taxes.
No, absolutely don't.
And I'm not also being forced again here in Nigeria to figure out like how that tax works. In terms of, someone mentioned something the other day on prices of real estate skyrocketing like crazy. What do you think? Do you think that taxation would help in, what I say, increasing this a little bit further? Or do you think the situation would be reduced as well, so that people are not overinflating assets at this point in time?
Sorry, I didn't get that. You're saying that?
Do you think taxes would help in driving the costs or the prices of assets even further? Because people are already saying that prices of assets in Nigeria, house rent is going up, cost of buying a property has gone up, and in some places have gone up by 500%, right? Do you think the taxes would help in making that even much more, the growth of that even much more higher? Or do you think it will reduce that growth on your own end? How are you thinking around that on your own end?
So this is where I'm thinking around it, and I'm thinking about it from a financial model and a business model point of view. Okay, so in the past, we just do things the way we like. So now people are saying that's not what's driving those people were paying taxes before. If you were in the tax bracket before, people were paying taxes, right? If you work in an organization, they deduct your PE, so taxes are being paid before. Like I said before, now effective tax rates depending on your income demographics. Now, I don't necessarily think that it would drive pricing up. Okay, I think it's just this fear around it will drive, or rather it will reduce affordability and say, okay, yeah, you are right. So it means now, okay, you are going to pay tax. But in the parts where you have double taxations, okay, where you don't have tax holiday, all of that is being removed. Right now, like I've said now, that is that whatever was taxed from you in some point, you can actually bring it back. So the developer cannot say that. So for example, a developer who pays withholding taxes, right? It may be expensive, but at the end of the day, that withholding taxes, they're going to have a relief on that withholding tax. If you know, right? If you know what I mean. So same thing. If a rent for a landlord who charges, because for example, for commercial real estate, right? If I lease a property from a landlord, right? So when I pay, okay, what typically happens is that they will deduct the withholding tax, but they can make that claim. They can make that claim later, which is 10%. The withholding tax of 10% that can be made later. So really, we want to be looking at the effective tax rates. And the point I'm trying to make is that now I think we should all start to build in, what are my taxes in terms of what I should pay before I get into a real estate transaction. In terms of affordability for the guy buying, if I'm buying a house less than 50 million naira or 100 million, like I said, I think we need to look that up. We need to check that, up. If I'm buying that, I have some relief. Okay. So at the end of the day, the effective tax rates, it's reduced than what it is before. But, for someone who's not paying anything at all, and now they are telling him that the effective tax rate is 17% or is 18 or 21%, he'll be shouting. But again, I'm just trying to say that it doesn't mean automatically that, okay, I earn 20 million naira, so government is going to slam 25% on the 20 million naira. No, there are certain caps, there are tax relief, there are things that are not that are tax deductibles that you are not actually paying on top of on the entire 20 million naira that is a turnover. And this is where the tax professionals will come on, to help everyone take a look at it. But for us as real estate investors, where I'm really concerned is that, and the mistake I don't want people to be making, is that understand that they are VAT exempt for real estate across that value chain, which is fantastic. Okay, but in terms of when you are looking at final yield, when are you paying your withholding tax? Should we continue to just build property and do fractional investment without really looking at, SEC instruments that are pass-throughs, like the real estate investment company, like the collective investment schemes, okay, like the real estate investment trust. So if we really want to scale, it just means that the manner and way we do real estate transactions then needs to change. I think that's where we need to begin to look at, because what then happens is, if we do this, it means that we are also shielding our investors, because more money gets to them. But of course, at the level of personal income tax, they would still have to pay their tax. But remember, if it was through any of the collective investment scheme or through the real estate investment trust or real estate investment companies, they have that sort of shield, because again, these are pass-through entities that have been approved under the Finance Act, even before the new tax law came into being.
Lovely. I think it's something that people, again, like we mentioned earlier, there are positive sides to this that allows everybody to benefit from it. And when you're thinking about long-term investing, the taxation is not something that is against you. It's something that helps to create a level of transparency across board that benefits everybody at the same time. I know people have questions. I'm going to leave the floor for questions. If you have questions, you can type it out right now. This conversation was actually meant to be just a quick chat or a quick insight into what Doc is doing. He's going around the country at the moment, preaching the good news of taxation. So right now he has events scheduled on the, is it on the 9th of November?
We're starting 7th of November. That's in Lagos.
In
7th
Lagos.
of November in Lagos, yeah, where we are getting tax experts and consultants, you know, just to focus a one-day workshop, masterclass, just to focus on, you know, the taxes that is affecting us in real estate, you know, whether it's capital gains, whether it's withholding tax, you know, all of that taxes, and then the structure that you should be using for doing all of that investment. Yes, those are the things we're going to be talking about, you know, because I mean, it will be sad with all the difficulties we already faced in the real estate sector to now come and add that. And you know, the law would not say I didn't know. There is no I didn't know, you know, so it will be sad to come and now add the tax challenges to it. So that's why we think that, yeah, you know, we can do that. Yeah, so that's Lagos, Abuja, Enugu, and Port Harcourt, 7, 10, 12, and 14. Yeah, you know.
The reason why I'm sharing this with the community is, one, you can get a discount from this. You can reach out to, everybody should reach out to, someone should type in Keble's WhatsApp details there so that they can reach out to us and we can help them secure the discounts. The second thing is, this is something that affects everyone's portfolio, and you will learn a lot because they are bringing in tax consultants. Like I said, a lot of people that have experience in taxation, that have read it, that have broken it down, will be there. The other thing is, I like that it's physical because you're also going to be meeting like minds as well in the events. You get to meet, you know, business people. You get to meet even tax consultant that might be your friend. You meet more friends that are consultants as well. So I think it's a good opportunity. I'm going to be there. We're also going to be providing some discount opportunities to people that are interested. So please, please reach out to the Keble WhatsApp, or any of the admin will help you secure that today, and make sure that things are going well there. I also want to leave the room for questions, because Doc is, his time is almost ending and we want to get back into the flow of the conversation. But if you have questions that you want to ask, this is the perfect time, you know, to ask those questions so that we can be able to, you know, provide some well-meaning answers to them. Anyone with questions? Or you guys understand the tax like this?
Right? Yeah. It might be that the fear has reduced now.
Okay, someone asked a question. How can having an LLC help in this new taxation system? Is it okay to put all your assets under your LLC?
Okay, so by LLC, I hope you are talking about limited liability company, or you're talking about LLC in the US, in what's it called? What's that place where we used to register all our prop tech firms? Delaware, right?
Yeah.
Delaware. Or
actually, you know, CAC. Let's just work with the CAC.
Okay.
Registering CAC, exactly.
So I think it's advisable, right, to move away from the business name, or enterprise era and get into the limited liability company. The reasons are that, you know, it provides you a lot of the relief that is needed that you will not get, you know, either as a business name or an enterprise. And let me also tell you, you know, because now the way this thing has worked, you remember those days where AEDC or NEPA, as we popularly know it, will give you estimated billing. Okay, yes. Nobody wants estimated billing. So you can be operating in a business name, and you say, okay, you're a business name, you're a small business, and you're driving 2 trucks with police escort, and you're posting on Instagram. They are just going to estimate, say, no, this guy, this is not what he's earning. Okay, the law gives them the right to do those kind of perceptive, you know, say tax, you know, look at how your lifestyle and all of that to do the tax. So it is better. Sorry?
They'll just assess you and say that
you are showing off now. You are flying business class first class, you are borrowing locations to take pictures and all of that, and you are not paying your taxes. So I'd rather be safe having a limited liability company where all your transactions can show, where the deductibles that are allowed for you, comes into play. So it is advisable, and the interesting thing again with real estate assets, you see, so I was reading something, I think by Anderson, where, and I think I even shared it amongst some of my groups, where they were saying that, look, when inheritance, okay, when your parents or your uncle or somebody gives you a house, or they bring your opportunity to own a home, either by inheritance or gift or anything, right? It's no longer that the person has died. Oh yes, you are mourning, they will mourn with you and all of that. But if that person has tax liabilities that, God forbid, your benefactor passes on, and they have tax liabilities and they have transferred wealth to you, they'll first of all net off the tax liabilities before it is the change that you get. So that's why it is no longer, inheritance is no longer just a family event. Inheritance now is also a tax event. Okay, and this is where we need to really come into plan to say, how do you deal with this? And like I said, the better you get all the advice and put your books and your house in order, the better for everyone. So having an LLC, if you ask me, is the right way to go.
Yeah, I think especially if you're buying multiple assets,
absolutely,
you just want to make sure that everything is sort of consolidated in a way that you can manage, right?
No, that's it.
And if you plan on essentially like leaving it for a very long time, like you mentioned, I know someone that did a transaction, and essentially they didn't sell the asset, they just transferred the company to the other person, right? So essentially just said, okay, all of the companies that we're dealing with are under this, all of the properties that we're dealing with are under company A, right? Or under company B.
Absolutely,
right?
which is what people tend to do with the, it's very interesting. I mean, which is what people tend to do with capital gains tax. Okay, so I did not sell. Okay, I did not sell. But they are going to look at your books and say, okay, where are what's happening within all of these group subsidiaries? Yes, you did not sell, but what's happening? What kind of transactions are going on? So yes, you have some leeways, but you also need to be careful, because again, now everything is going to be in the open. If you are trying to run away from this side, and you have left a loophole on this side, that's what happens. Yes, you can, again, the law says when you sell, so you can begin to move those properties, within group structure and all of that. But within the confines of the law, I know that there's a way they can also begin to look at that, Yeah.
I think the other thing I've sort of the questions that one question that people ask is they tend to see if they are tax relief for farming. So for instance, if I buy like land, if I buy land for farming purposes, or if I buy undeveloped land and just keep it for a while, I know that there are capital gains tax on that when you sell, but is there any relief at this point in time for properties like that you can sort of find some deductions on that side? Is this something that we're aware of at this point in time?
So like I said before, right? When you buy, you are holding, you bought, you just pay at that point, right? It's not a tax moment. Yes. The only places where you pay all your stamp duties, you pay your registration fees for the title, right? You can hold it, and that property continues to appreciate. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So it's not a tax moment. I think that even for land, we need to even check that. Even for land, I don't even know whether for land you pay capital gains tax. I think we might need to double check. We might need to double check that, for land, whether you pay. But at that point that you are buying, so again, like I said, the best way for this, you can buy assets and you can hold those assets, right? And the government is not immediately going to come and tax you on those assets. It's at the point where you are disposing of that asset that you begin to say, okay, this is what happens. Mind you, okay, before a lot of people also say, you know what, I took a loan. Okay, I took a loan because I took a loan, so loans are interest deductible. But the new law says a 30% cap.
What?
So if you took a 100 million loan, right, they will remove, instead of them to charge the interest, to do deductibles, they will say, okay, yeah, you took a loan, we understand, but we will not net it off this profit of 100 million. We can only take 30%. So we'll net off 30%. So yeah, so that's what's happening. So there are a lot of conversations within. So that's why I said that, remember, I was saying that because what's going to happen is as wholesale investment outlets, like Keble, for example, what will happen is if we don't put all of these things into the financial model, right? What will happen is at the end of the day, the investor is expecting X amount, but it's going to get X minus Y, because government will take their Y, and it's not your fault. But they are going to be saying this wasn't what we said, this wasn't what we're looking at, and all of that. And so again, it also comes to a point where from a lot of the conversations that I've had and some of the workshops that I've been in the room where we have workshop, okay, what is really good to do? Is it debt or equity? We're beginning to tend to look, it might just be better to find equity holders. And this is where fractional investment tokenization comes in. It might just be better to find equity holders, okay? Whether crowdfunding, whether fractional investment, to then do real estate transactions. Because like I said again, we must understand the peculiarity of the asset class that we're dealing with. It's not just any other thing. So for example, for you buy a Greek land, yes, you'll be farming now, nobody will disturb you. You can even put a what do they call it? Is it a farmhouse? You can even put a farmhouse on that land and nobody's going to disturb. But that's all you can do on a Greek land. Outside of the farmhouse, you cannot have 10 farmhouses now. You cannot be renting farmhouses and say, no, it's a Greek land. Okay? But there's also a way you can apportion agricultural real estate such that I buy 10 hectares, for example, or I buy 100 hectares, and then I split that among 100 people, one hectare. And then you say, okay, I'm farming cocoa or I'm farming oil palm in my 1 hectare, and this is my small farmhouse. Yes. Okay? You can also, that's legal. You can do that, and then you can then deal with all of the tax liabilities based on that. Because even for agriculture, I think the first 5 years is even tax exempt.
Yes.
Okay, but you cannot do this as an individual. That's why registering, having an LLC is very critical, because that's where the conversation will start from. You need to be, you need to have a registered company through which you are doing all of these transactions.
Awesome. We have questions coming up. I'm very mindful of time as well, but I will pick Ebuka. I think you have a question because your hands are raised.
Yeah, greetings, everyone.
Nice, how you doing, man?
Well, good. I want to appreciate people for what they are doing. They are not only teaching their investors how to invest, but they are also showing them, what investment is all about. But about these tax issues in Nigeria, honestly, this tax stuff, I've not really understand them about the tax. So my question is, the money that you are getting now, like your personal income you get from you send, because I don't make my money in Nigeria, right? So if I'm bringing in money into the country, will I still pay tax?
Okay,
I think personal finance.
No, I think we talked about that before. You will not pay tax as far as you are not resident in Nigeria, okay? Even when you are resident, even when it is found, let's say that, they were able to prove that you are resident in Nigeria, right? What then happened is where you live, if there's some sort of tax treaty, okay? If you already paid tax maybe in Canada or in the US or in Nigeria, and Nigeria has a tax treaty with those countries, then there will not be like double taxation. You will not be taxed.
Yeah, and secondly, if you have an investment in Nigeria which you are getting an income from, so you automatically pay tax for that.
Oh yes, if you are if you have
rental property and other investments, like both in stocks, do we pay tax buying stocks and selling when we sell or when we buy? Will we also pay tax on that?
So again, good question. Will you pay tax? Again, if it's a capital gains tax, if you're selling, if you're making money, you pay capital gains tax. Do you understand? And you know, and like I said, you know, at times, so if an effective tax rate, I had people who were having this conversation, and somebody was just like to say, if you this tax now that you have to pay complete. So let's assume that you have an effective tax rate for a particular transaction, okay, is at maybe 5%, okay, and your taxes are around 3.5%, or when they look at all of the treaties. Again, the tax consultants, I keep sounding that just to make sure that this conversation is around real estate, it's around enlightenment, and let's know that we must still deal with our tax consultants and tax experts, okay? But where there are shortfalls, even with the countries where you have signed up treaty with, you also pay it in your local environment, which is in Nigeria, where you are bringing it in. All right. But if you make money, for any money that you make, I mean, when you deal in the capital markets, you know, whatever happens there, you are making money, right?
Yeah.
And you definitely pay your CGT on all of those. You know, that's just on your investment income, because you cannot be making money and say you will not pay taxes. But again, like I said, you know, they are usually net off in these different taxes. You know, have you done a transaction where you are withholding taxes that you have? So those can then become your own tax credits that you then use to net off whatever taxes that you have been charged, since it's now in a consolidated place.
So automatically, when you receive your dividends from your stocks portfolio, you have to pay tax on that also.
Yeah, I think at the point, I think those are deductible. I don't know. I think they are deductible from source, right? I think the onus is on the how does it work? I think the clearing house, isn't it? I think they are deductible from source, because the clearing, is it the Nigerian Central Clearing Systems or your stockbrokers? I think they would do that. Yes, that's what happens.
Oh, okay. I think that's okay for now. 2026, see what happens.
Okay, so there's a question here saying if the land seller is going to pay capital gains tax on the land, is he not going to transfer the cost to the buyer? How is he going to do that? Let me hear. I would like to hear. How will he transfer the cost to do that? He will increase, because he's going to pay capital gains tax. He will increase the cost of the land. If he increase the cost of the land, he will still pay capital gains tax on that increase that he has done. I don't know if you know what I mean. So if you say, because I'm going to pay a CGT, you know, so it's just, you are just piling up CGT on CGT, right? So if you are selling land, and because I know that I bought the land at 1 million, let's assume that there is capital gains tax on land. I bought it at 1 million, I'm selling at 1.2, so there's a 200,000 that they are going to slam 30% on. 30% on 200,000 is about how much is that? 60,000 naira. So rather than selling, I will now charge the person at how much? At 1,260. What have I just done?
You increase the money for everybody.
I've just increased the money, you know. So I'm also just trying to look at which questions we haven't answered. No, depending on the rate in the treaty country. I think we talked about that, but I'm not clear. Do you want to? Okay. Mose Maria already said if you wanted to make a comment on that. Okay.
She's in a noisy place. I would have loved to answer here.
Sorry?
But no, she's in a noisy place. She said that we couldn't.
Okay.
But I think that's fine.
Right, can I just ask a question before you move up?
Oh yeah, sure.
All right. Okay. Thank you. It's a good session so far. I want us to probably just focus a little bit more on our current portfolios in Keble. how does this tax, I might have missed it, maybe it's been said already, I might have missed that, but how does this affect our current setup that we have? I know we pay tax, or probably not, I'm not too sure, on our profits or whatever thing that we get back from our investments, either land or money, things that we do. Um, how does this? I just want to be very sure. I know a lot's been said about how it affects the general tax system, but just to be very, very clear about in Keble specifically.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
can speak to that. Thank you so much. So yes, when you, for example, when you buy assets on the Keble platform, you essentially do not see, look, I'm paying stamp duty here, I'm paying for this, I'm paying for this, but we do pay all of those fees. All of those fees are paid because there's no way you can process maybe an acquisition of an apartment or an acquisition of land without making those payments. Like, and Doc has also alluded to that at the earliest point. So yes, there are taxes that are being paid, and that is on the acquisition side. Now, on the selling side, so where we talk about capital gains at this front, right? On that part, there are taxes that we actually pay as well. So, for instance, if you're, and those are the aspects that we're even trying to figure out as this new tax regime is coming up, because we have a ton of assets. What we've known is that some of these assets, again, if you're buying from Ibudurura, if you're buying from, Nove, most of the time, like I mentioned, I think I spoke to a customer this week, most of these assets, you have to hold it for a long time and earn income and eventually actually sell it. It's not stocks that people buy in and sell off almost within a season. So that's the benefit of that you have to experience the assets. The other thing I think you should also be aware of is that the income that you're getting as well, right? You would actually have to pay tax on that, right? But that is on a personal income level, right? So whatever income you're generating from all the assets that you have, you would have to file for that on your own end to make sure that you are covered, right? But I think Keble, once it comes to the acquisition side, it's pretty much covered. When we are now selling off the assets, which would typically take, give or take 3 years at this point, plus, that's when capital gains actually is reflected for everyone's portfolio. And I think that's just the structure of the real estate asset at this point in time. But if you're thinking of your own returns generally, you should be considering like, I think for people that are receiving like large sums, please, if you're receiving little income, there's no need to open LLC, right? It's really, if your portfolio is probably less than, I don't know, like less than 50 million or something, there's literally, you do not have to open an LLC. It's just more problem for you, right?
No, but sorry, let me also just put that in context, Lucy Maria, because even if you open LLC, right, and so they see it, and so because your income, your turnover is less than 50 million, you are not taxed.
You're not taxed.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. But of course, there are costs to setting up an LLC and all of that. But I just think that it is better than having maybe an enterprise where you cannot benefit. So some of these things you can only benefit as an LLC. Okay, 100%. Not as a business name and all of that. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Go ahead.
Because the whole, there are lots of people that maybe are not earning as much. So let's say you put in 10,000 naira, you put in, or you're getting the total income you're generating is not up to a certain level. You should be careful because there are also additional fees of operating an entity as well. You have to pay legal fees as well for what you're doing, maybe annual returns that you're filing. There are other things that you have to know to make sure that the entity is doing well, right? And to make sure that the reporting is well as well. So I think people need to be aware of that aspect before they get into LLC. But yes, there are also there are tons of benefits there that you should know when you're doing your business with the LLC. Additionally, I hope I was able to answer your questions.
Yes, you did. Yeah, so what I got from that yes, there would be a measure of tax paid on the returns. That's going to be a personal tax filing for that. Okay, that's very clear. Thank you.
Awesome. Also, I think we would have more of these conversations. I know Doc had mentioned that there's an event, national event, his national tour. People are doing music tour around the country. He's doing tax events. So I'm happy for.
We're trying to save the world. We're trying to save the world. That's all. You know, we don't want anybody getting in trouble. You know?
We would get more people. I will be in the event, and hopefully we'll get enough connections in the events to invite
more people. Correct.
So 100%, I think that would be useful for everyone there. But I really appreciate Doc's time. I gave him 1 hour, and I stuck to this 8 o'clock like this.
No, you don't well. You done well. Thank you very much.
And thank you for everything you're doing in the community, in the real estate space. I really appreciate it. And thank you for making, Home Circle, our events work well. Every single time we try to bring in new things so that people get to it's not every day invest. Sometimes you know what they're investing in, and how we're making the process easier. So I really appreciate Doc. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I mean, it's lovely. Thank you for having me. I've also enjoyed myself and learned a lot from everyone, and just having the perspective, But yes, I mean, hopefully this will bring a lot of transparency to the sector, and then it will also then bring more investment, to the sector. Once everybody know that, okay, this is the way to go and this is what's happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Once again, please, if you're interested in the events, reach out to Keble. I really want people to get discounts, so I'll push for that on my end. So that's important. If you're interested, reach out. Also, we're not going to spend time on Keble offerings. You guys already know what Keble does. But if you do not know, there is a community link down. You guys can register as well. And we have these conversations regularly, right? So I think this is one of our ways to essentially, give back, make sure that there's some level of clarity, and you get to see the face behind the brand. So it's not just in the app as well. So thank you so much. My name, I don't think I did introduction. Doctor, I was focused on.
We know you.
You know me. Thank you very much.
Your name is showing on your screen.
So I'm really excited, Doctor. I can't wait to see you when you get back. So
yes. Same here. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you everyone for joining in on today's Home Circle event. Really love the fact that we learned a lot, and looking forward to learning more in the future events. Take care, everybody, and do have a lovely weekend. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yes,
Bye.
thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Thanks.
Bye.